What's up guys, Steven here, welcome back to Teardown Tuesday. So today we're going to check out Flo's notebook. So well, it's broken, it does not turn on anymore, the screen stays black, but it's somehow booting, but well, the screen stays totally black. And today I want to do this as some kind of tutorial / teardown. So basically what you should do if your notebook won't start anymore, so if the screen stays black, or if you have any other booting issues. So let's check it out and let's have a closer look at the notebook. Alright guys, so here's the notebook. As you can see, it's pretty old, it looks really terrible, so I guess there's something wrong with the hardware. Anyway, first of all, you should identify the problem and just make sure that it's connected to the charger. And if you have a battery LED, which indicates if the device is charging or not, then make sure it lights up. Otherwise, it could be a problem with the power source, which we're going to discuss just in a second. So as I've told you, identifying the problem. So what happens if you try to power it on? So this one here, for instance, it powers on but stays black. So now in order to know if it powers on, you just need to listen. So just be very quiet. If you can hear fan noise, if you can feel vibrations from the hard drive. So at the bottom of the plate you will find, for instance, the slot for the hard drive, and just put your hand on there and just feel for yourself. Is there any vibration from the hard drive? If you have an internal SSD, there won't be anything, but you will definitely have a fan which will probably spin up, or your CD drive. Try if you can eject it. So this is also something you could do. For instance, here the CD drive opens well. So the whole board has power, and this thing here should work, but the screen stays black. And now there are several things. But first of all, let's come to a different problem. If your device does not power on at all, so if there's no LED, if anything here, if the CD drive doesn't open, then there could be something wrong with the power source. So let's have a look at the charger, so the power supply. Oh yeah, so here's the power supply. And if your notebook does not make any sounds at all, if really nothing happens if you press the power button, then there could be something wrong with your power supply. So here you can see the basic power supply. Usually there's a cord which goes from the power brick here to the power socket, and sometimes I bought notebooks, they had no issue, just there was something wrong with the power socket, so try a different one. The next thing you should check is the cable here. So this is the cable which goes to the power brick, which you can also disconnect. As you can see, the brick here has a little LED which still lights up here because the capacitors inside are still charged, so there's some rest charge inside. And if this does not light up when you plug in the cable to the power socket, mostly your power supply is broken. Alright, so here we have the DC connector, and you could also measure if voltage is coming out of the power brick if you measure here between ground and the inner plus pin. But well, if you already know how to do that, you're probably not watching this video. Anyway, try a different power supply, make sure the LED here lights up, so that indicates that it could work. Still, there could be something wrong with the power supply, so the best thing is borrow another power supply and try again. So now I'll show you what you should do if your power supply works, but the computer still does not power on. It's also pretty important that you use the correct power supply. So if this here does not deliver enough voltage, then also your computer won't power on. So make sure you're using always the original power supply. So even if it has the same connector, if the output of the power supply is different than the original power supply, you won't be able to power your notebook. So we now had a closer look at the power supply. Seems to work. Now we can try a simple reset. So if the device is still not working, so if all the connections are good, if your device gets power, then you should just try a simple reset. Sometimes it does the job, but mostly not. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. First of all, you unplug the power adapter, so make sure it runs off from the battery. And the next thing you're going to do is you shut it down and you remove the battery. So it really depends on your notebook. For instance, on the Lenovo IdeaPad, it's not even possible to get out like this. But first of all, you just remove the battery. So here we have a release switch, and here we have an unlock switch. So what you have to do is you have to unlock. So by just moving here the slider, then move the release switch. Oh man, this notebook is really terrible. Even the battery is stuck here a little bit, but with tools I was able to get it out. And here you can see it. So just remove the battery, then just put it beside, and now you turn your notebook back again and you open up the lid, and now you press and hold the power button for around 30 seconds, okay? So this will just discharge the rest charge which is inside of the notebook, so in the capacitors and all the electronic components. and after that there should be no voltage, no charge anymore, and then you can just attach the battery and reconnect it to the power supply and try to reboot. But usually that does not fix the notebook. So guys, as expected, that didn't fix the problem, so we have to look a little bit deeper into the notebook, and the next step I usually do is I check if the display is broken, if the backlight is broken, or if there's something totally wrong with the notebook at all. And in order to check that, we have to have a look at the display and also to get a second screen. Now first of all, I try to power it on and I have a look at the display, and I'll just try to find out if the backlight is broken. So now it's pretty useful to get yourself a smartphone with an LED flash and use it as a torch to kind of light the display and apply a little bit of light here in this area. Because if the backlight is broken, which can happen on notebooks, so inside there's some kind of converter, and if this one here breaks down, also usually the LCD backlight is broken. Happened to me a couple of times, and then you will see, for instance, everything, so like your whole Windows desktop, if it completely boots, but just there is no backlight coming from the back of the display, and that stays almost black. But if you try to apply a little bit of light and you can see anything on the screen, then your backlight is broken, and this is a hardware issue and you need to get it replaced. Those DC converters usually retail for up to 30, 40 euros, something like that, and are easy to replace. But well, if that is not the problem, so if you can't see anything, you should check if your display is completely dead, but your integrated, the motherboard is still working, and this is why you should hook it up to an external monitor. And this is what I will do right now. Well, it seems that I have really bad luck today, so the notebook is powered on, so I can definitely feel it's running. Then it's connected to a external monitor, which is also switched on, and also if I press the button here to switch to the monitor, which you shouldn't forget, maybe there's something wrong inside of the configuration, and if the monitor is also powered on, then I can definitely see, it doesn't light up. So you should also try other ports. Probably just this port is broken, so if you have HDMI, also try HDMI. If you have HDMI, also try VGA. So you need to identify the real problem, and so far as I can see, it seems to be that the graphics unit inside is dead. So I definitely think that that is the issue, because it's not powering an external monitor, it's not powering the internal monitor, and this seems to be an issue with the motherboard, because there's some chips soldered on there, and sometimes it comes off a little bit, bends due to heat and bad solder, and then you can have this problem. And and now I want to show you some other things you could try if it's not powering on and if it stays here completely black. So we'll now have a look at the internal components and try to remove some, like the RAM, and now let me show you how to do that. So guys, here's the next thing we're going to try. So we're now going to replace some RAM, or actually try to remove RAM. Now in order to do that, you should always disconnect the power, so you're not going to fuck something up. Here's the bottom side, so also remove the battery just for safety, but if you don't want to do that, well, it's up to you. So I'll now just remove the battery here, and you just need basic screwdrivers usually. So I have here a flathead screwdriver, but you mostly just need Phillips head screwdrivers. So I have not seen so many notebooks with Torx screwdrivers, Torx screws, but those screwdrivers are actually pretty cheap on Amazon, so definitely get some. You can also use them for your smartphone or whatever. Now this notebook here, so this Sony notebook has 2 RAM slots inside. There could be an issue with one of the RAMs, and maybe one of them is broken. So what I'll try now, I'll now remove one of the RAMs. So there we go. So I'll just remove the upper one, okay? And there we go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the battery back in. And holy crap, how does that work? So, nope, that was the wrong way, I guess. Yeah, like this. And now we're going to see if it powers on with one RAM. Okay, also with only one RAM module installed, it does not power on, so let's try to remove the second one and let's switch it to the other slot. So probably just the slot has issues. I mean, it's worth a try, because if that is not the problem, we have to go very deep inside. And there we go. So just bent those things to the outside. So this is how you remove it if you have not seen it. And now we're taking out that RAM module and we're going to switch it here in slot 1. So that's the next thing we're going to try. Then if that doesn't work, you're going to repeat it with the other RAM module. So you're going to switch between the slots. And if that is not working at all, so it's probably not the RAM, then there's something wrong on the motherboard. So you could also try to remove several things. Usually hard drive doesn't make an issue, mostly the RAM here. And if that is not the issue, we have to take it apart. So because then it's really something which is messed up on the inside. So switching and replacing the RAMs did not fix the problem. Now I tried without RAM, with one RAM in that slot. I switched the slot, so this is also what you should do. It didn't fix the problem. So well, battery is also okay. Now the hard drive is usually not a problem at all. And now you should also check out, this notebook is very, very dirty, and also dirt can cause shorts. So you should check out if it's really clean, clear all the ports, make sure there are no shorts inside. Sometimes even a USB port with bent contacts can do a short, which then actually makes the notebook not to boot at all. So well, but that's not the problem, this one here. So I really guess it's a graphics unit which is soldered to the main board, which is placed somewhere here. And sometimes due to bending, bad solder, temperature and all that, those connections to the motherboard can crack up, and then also there can be shorts inside and it won't work at all. Now there is something which is called reflow, so you could actually get your motherboard reflown, but usually that's very expensive and not worth it. Actually reballed. Reflow is something which is more temporary fix, since it's not so good. When you do reballing, you actually get the whole chip off from the motherboard and you resolder it, and that's good, but usually not worth it. Now on this one here, absolutely not, but I would say let's take it apart. I have no idea how to take this particular one apart, but I will do it for you and also show you some things on the inside which you should check out. So maybe sometimes it's a different problem which is inside of the notebook. So let's just go, let's remove some things. I will do it in a time lapse, and then there will be some comments on what things you should check out. So ladies and gentlemen, I have now removed the motherboard. Here you can see it, so that's the motherboard of the notebook. Now let me show you some things there, and I haven't done a voiceover while I did the teardown because this is useless. Now you'll find pretty good tutorials on how to take a notebook apart on iFixit, so they've probably taken apart every notebook on the fucking planet. Okay, so let's have a closer look here at the motherboard. Now first of all, there's a BIOS battery. It's placed right over here, so it looks the same on actually all devices. This one here is a CR2032, and you could also remove that one here to reset the BIOS completely, so just go in there with your screwdriver and remove the battery. Oh, so far as I see, this is already a little bit broken here. But well, this basically removes the voltage from the motherboard completely. You could try to put in there 10 cents to really suck out everything, or just leave it out for a second, replace the battery, put everything back together and see if it boots. Usually that also doesn't fix the problem. Now you've seen before those flex cables. Be very careful with them. There are different of those ports here on the motherboard. Some of them you have to flip up a little lever, some of them you have to slide out that bar here, so be really careful. If you break them, you will kill either your display, your keyboard or whatever. Okay, you should also ground yourself before you touch electronics, but I don't care on this crap thing here anymore. And here you can see the other side. So here we have the CPU, that's here an AMD CPU, and it's for instance replaceable, so you just have to take it out of the socket. Be careful with the pins. Usually CPUs won't break down, so the possibility that your CPU is the problem is like 0.01%. Okay, yeah, that's the CPU. We have here a Wi-Fi module, which you also don't have to take apart. This is completely useless. Then here we have the more interesting things. So here we have the graphics unit and we have the South Bridge. And yeah, what I'll want to tell you about this is that this could be the issue for your problem. So sometimes the graphics unit comes a little bit off due to bending of the board, due to heat, and then this causes shorts, or some contacts are not touching the board anymore, and this could be the problem while your display stays black. So in the next video, I'll show you how to reflow or use the oven trick. Now this is not a professional reballing method, so the next video will be some kind of a hot fix if you really don't care anymore, but you should definitely get a board replaced or do professional reballing, otherwise this maybe won't last long. Now, for instance, my MacBook lasted for half a year, then I had to do it again. I mean, it was better than purchasing a new MacBook, but anyway, yeah, it's not a professional thing, and don't get me wrong, guys, so this is just a temporary fix in the most cases, since it fixes not really the cause of the problem. Alright, so that's the motherboard. So you could also try to completely clean it, as I've told you, replace or switch the BIOS battery, put everything back together, but here on this particular one I've tried everything. So this is for sure the graphics unit, which is soldered here directly into the motherboard, and this needs a reflow, and I will do that, and in the next video I will show you how to do that. Alright guys, so I hope I could help you a little bit out. So what you could try if your notebook fails, so if it doesn't want to boot, and yeah, stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching, and if this video was helpful, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any more supportive Sunday videos. Now thanks for watching guys, have a nice bye, and good luck repairing your notebook. Good luck repairing your notebook. Good luck repairing your notebook.